Hello, Hornigons, I'm Joshua, and welcome back to Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York. That's a mouthful. Fun fact, I actually lost my original save file. I may have accidentally deleted it, but luckily before stream, I managed to call it on, so I, got back to the best of my ability to where we were. And, I tried to mimic the same answers from memory, or if it was an important decision, I looked at my past stream. I could have looked at my past stream for the whole thing, but my past stream was 3 hours, so I can't really do that. So just in case, because I just got everything back, I think, to where we were now, so I might as well save here. So I'll load, enter that. Okay. Let's continue. Once more, darkness falls upon the city. You wake up. Oh, it scrolls by itself. You wake up, same as you have these past few nights, in a windowless room. As you pry open the reinforced steel door. Oh, I switched over to controller. Let's see how this works. Okay. You pry open the reinforced steel door. You look out the window to see, inevitably, a sky bereft of sunlight, and then it hits you, the hunger. I don't know. I think if I press start, it will give me the menu. We'll try it out later. For a moment, you let yourself wonder if there will ever come a night when it's just not there. Given that you've learned thus far, you probably have a chance. Wait, I can't read. I'm really tired. You probably have as much chance of kick-starting your heart with jumper cables. Yep. You lock the door behind you and head to Sophie's apartment. You did promise to call on her. Might as well not keep the lady waiting. And hey, what else are you gonna do? Call Jess? Yeah, right. What would you tell her? If she even picked up at all? She'd probably use the opportunity to stick some more needles in you. Or worse, persuade you to come back. Or go back to work. Yeah, who are we kidding? HR probably found a replacement the day after you went missing. Nobody there cares if you got kidnapped or turned into a creature of the night. These thoughts put you in a weird mood. If you don't mind, I'm gonna turn on the fan. It's kind of stuffy in my room. So if you hear it, I apologize. I'll put it like a far enough distance that the mic doesn't pick it up, but you can still cool me. I think that should be fine. It's a strange sensation to walk the crowded streets, same as you have so many times before. But feeling so disconnected. All these people, you're not one of them, not anymore. You're a vampire, kindred, and you need to carve your own path in this strange new existence, one way or another. Appropriately enough, you arrive at Sophie's building just as that thought crosses your mind. A quick word with the security guard and you're led into the elevator. Apparently, Miss Langley is expecting you. Of course she is. You knock and wait, patiently, as the footsteps on the other side grow closer. Finally, the door opens, and Gregory, Sophie's driver, invites you in. I'm trying to add, like, tone to my voice because this is a visual novel and I'm not really doing voice acting, so I'm trying my best to be a narrator. You find the lady herself standing by the window, silhouetted against the city's midnight glow. She stares out, motionless, like a marble statue. CG. Is... wait. Everything alright? Is everything alright? She doesn't react immediately, but seems to snap out of some meditative state and looks at you with strange, barely eyes. Yes, it is. How kind of you to ask. Tell me. When you look out at the city, when you see the lights, hear the hum, smell the rain on the pavement, what do you think about? You gaze out. The lights and rain. The relentless honking below, music blasting from a nearby window, echoing off of buildings. Someone should record an hour of this and throw it up on YouTube as ambient piece. As an ambient piece. Hello. Who are you? I'm Jaws. Or are you trying to say how are you? Okay, that's actually starting to... the fan is starting to blow my hair all over the place. Maybe I should tie up or keep my distance. Other than that though, it's usual business. The sights, the smells. Wait, the sights, the sounds, the smells. You know them all too well. Sophie watches you. You can tell she's disappointed, somehow, as she covers it up with a courteous smile. Not everyone can appreciate the intricacies that the world offers. In fact, among kindred, my clan is somewhat notorious for finding innate meaning, even in the mundane. You see, the blood that flows within me is that of Clan Toreador. Hang on. Because I had to skip everything. Everything's unread, so I'm just gonna quickly go through all this. I'm not reading them again because I read them last stream. If you want to catch up, feel free to either pause the video or watch that stream. Oh wait, these ones are the new one. Clan. A bloodline of vampires who share common characteristics passed on through the blood from sire to child. There are 13 known clans, all of which are reputedly founded by members of the third generation. Clan Toreador. Many Toreador Many Toreador emerge from the ranks of accomplished artists, both new and faded. But not all artists need wield a brush. I think they're trying to be poetic. To the Toreador, art encompasses all forms of entertainment and stimulation. The Clan of the Rose courts the greatest actors, singers, writers, dancers, and even sex workers. If the degenerates believe such mortals will offer something new to their clan, despite the custom of embracing only the best, the Toreador fixation on beauty and innocence has caused many a diva to make a fledgling in haste. Many a moonlight night, new clan members have emerged as shallow hedonists, one-hit wonders, or just a stunning body with nothing else to offer. Nicknames are divas, harlots, sensites, perverts, hedonists, degenerates. Maybe that's the reason why Spiral wanted me to join Toreador. There are 13 such bloodlines among us kindred, though the number has been contested in the past, and these nights it seems that nothing is certain anymore. I think they're referring to, you know, other stuff from earlier editions. Also, technically, if you think about it, technically Thin Bloods are their own bloodlines, but still, you know, that's near or there because some Thin Bloods can still inherit at least one clan discipline and the clan Bane. There's also the Caitiffs. They don't belong to bloodlines. Bloodline. Besides the other game I'm streaming. A Vampire's Heritage. Also C clan. I'll let the text finish so I'm not, you know, rushing. The clans have gone by many epithets over the years, but the names used these knights have their roots in medieval times, the original Inquisition, if you can believe it. They used these to categorize us, describe our innate differences. In time, we adopted them ourselves. Each clan has a uniqueness about it, inescapable, originating from an ancient progenitor, carried from sire to child. Child. A vampire created through the embrace. The child is the progeny of their sire. This term is often used figuratively. I can't say that, because tired. Also dumb, indicating inexperience. The gourd. I know the word, but for some reason I can't say it tonight. Dogatory. Dogatory, yeah. The gourd. For the Toreador, the gift lies in a sensitivity of sorts. We are uniquely attuned to beauty and ugliness both. We can see either where most cannot. We can see either. Oh yeah, I read that right. A blessing on most nights, occasionally a curse. This is, I mean, it makes sense because this is a visual novel, but in Bloodlines, somehow from what I've seen in the dialogue options, somehow it seems like the fledgling in that game kind of knew what clans were. I'm guessing off screen, like when you weren't, they were probably taught or something. But yeah, this one at least explains it. The sheriff is of my clan as well, although you'd be hard pressed to see him as such. Poor Coterie. It breaks my heart to see him in this state. Still, there is a beauty to it as well. Nothing like a good fall from grace. Try as she might to act playful, you could tell she genuinely cares. She lets her gaze wander for a brief moment, but is quick to regain her composure. Then there are the Ventru, known for their pride and a proclivity to rule over others. Oh, I think now they're going through the clans that I could have chosen. Because I remember Ventru was one of them. The prince represents that clan, as is quite common in our society around the globe. That's my clan. Where the blue bloods think themselves rulers, the Bruja like to see themselves as I can't say it. Why can't I read tonight? Revolutionaries. They call for universal rebellion while being slaves to their own temper. Shadows of New York and Coteries of New York are set in 5th edition. Meanwhile, Bloodlines was set during the revised edition. So in the other earlier editions, before the 5th edition, the Bruja were part of the Camarilla, but now they're anarchs because it kind of made sense. Even back then, when they were part of the Camarilla, they were still kind of rebellious. Yeah, we don't discuss the rubble much more. Hey, your own adopted child there is a Bruja. I mean, we don't know, but still. Much more. Not after they've largely broken off with the Camarilla. To think they were philosophers once, long ago. I have to tell you more about some of the other bloodlines tonight. What's my clan? Do you know what my clan is? No. I can only guess it, based on certain aspects of your behavior and tastes. You will need to come to your own conclusion and seek validation from your clanmates, if you require such a thing. I mean, so far, I showcased presence and select tree, so she didn't see me use presence, so she can assume I'm Toreador, but the thing is, Toreador and Bruja only share 2 out of the 3 disciplines. 2 of their disciplines in common with each other, but the third one is different. For Toreador, their third one is Auspics. For Bruja, my favorite in Bloodlines, is Potence. As you will no doubt learn, some kindred fit these stereotypes more than others. The blood is hard to deny, though there are certainly those who try. I mean, I've mostly ignored the aggressive options, even though as a Bruja, and I really want to get in. I mean, there are exceptions. As a Bruja, I should give in to those, but maybe in the future, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, I did try to fight that Anarch, but that is perhaps a subject for another time. I invited you here for a reason. There's something I wanted to speak to you about. It is customary in our society, especially among younger kindred, to organize into coteries. Sometimes, these are called by the prince themselves, or mandated by a fledgling sire. In our case, you may treat it as more of a strong recommendation. I want you to seek out companions, not only because you need to learn about our society, but also because it is useful. So that's why it's called Coteries of New York. I'm assembling my own coterie. True friendships are rare among kindred, but having allies, even temporary ones, is something of a necessity these nights. We might be selfish creatures, but we are drawn to each other nonetheless. Let's see. Do you have your own coterie? So tell me, are you part of a coterie? Any close allies? I do have those that I trust enough to work with, yes. Not a coterie, exactly. Though I have joined several of those over the years. Not over a century though. Not in over a century though. You, however, you would do well to meet some of the city's younger kindred and see if you can find a connection. It's an essential experience for one so young. She puts on a mysterious smile. I spent some of my precious time last night asking around, but pondering potential kindred for you to meet. Came up with a short list of contacts. I hope you'll appreciate the gesture. Forging a partnership with them might offer perspectives and viewpoints that I cannot provide, lenses through which to view our kind. They are all members of the Camarilla, of course, more or less. Thanks, I guess. I know this might feel awkward, but trust me, it's the easiest way. You may find out. You'll find. That it's weird because there's 2 U's, but yeah. You'll find you still have much to learn, and it's best if you have many tutors. So let us start with the Shamir. They are a powerful clan, disliked by many, but feared and respected by many more. They have been an important pillar of the Camarilla since the very beginning. They are blood sorcerers. They have blood sorcery as their exclusive discipline. Oh. I'm gonna do a lot of reading. Let's start with Ventru. Clan Ventru. While many other clans claim positions of influence in mortal politics and business, no one can rival the Ventru in the game of pure power and wealth. They have long been the leaders of the Camarilla, holding more positions of power than any other clan, and they are loath to give that up. The Ventru believe in the strength of tradition and lineage. The embrace is one of their most important rituals, and the choice of child affects the way other members of the clan treat the sire. The venture therefore aimed to embrace overachievers, politically or financially powerful kin, of those with talent that sets them apart from the masses. They maintain that they are destined to rule all kindred, no matter the sacrifices involved. Their detectors call them Little Lords, Borjas, and Tyrants. Oh, I get it. The Borjas from the Renaissance, the infamous Borja family. Those who respect Vintru for keeping the Camarilla together use terms like Blue Bloods, Patricians, or Warlords. Clan Bruja. Clan Bruja have always embraced from the ranks of those synthetic enough to counterculture and revolution. So technically the Brujas are the opposites of the Ventru. They seek out allies who question normative ideas and recognizing the fire of the oppressed. They gravitate toward the underdog. Common perception places punks, gang members, maladjusted immigrants, rejected by the society that should protect them, and placards carrying and Molotov-wielding rioters among the Bruja. While the above is sometimes true, the clan adheres to no single ideology, and their desire to dissent, like I'm trying to say it as dissent instead of descend, because when I say it, they sound the same, reaches as deep as the fraudster's ripping off his own company. The lawyer representing the poor pro bono, the neo-Nazi claiming to be alt-right, and the basement-dwelling downloading those of movies illegally for redistribution on streaming sites. So Brujas are just rebels. Now it kind of makes sense that they're anarchs. Like, apparently they have always been rebels, even in the older editions, despite being part of Camarilla. But yeah. Fledglings embraced to fight and protest are commonly referred to as rebels, punks, or rebel. Clan Tremere. A hermetic mage in 8th century Romania, Tremere was the leader of a cabal of magic users, rightfully feared for their obsession with knowledge and power. Unwilling to accept his own mortality, Tremere cast his eyes on the hallowed secrets of immortality. In his greed, the mage instigated the most terrifying magic experiments ever conducted, damning himself and his followers to a hell of their own making. Terrified, they died and woke again to an eternity of unlife and hunger, cut off from their craft, in a mockery of their own former magical rituals. Now only fresh blood allows the Tremere to cast their thaumaturgic spells to twist reality. The clan is still organized like an hereditary occult order, recently fractured into a number of competing houses, each claiming to be the rightful heir of Tremere's legacy. They see true power as knowing the ways of shaping the world, having access to the right blood, and owning the rarest ancient artifacts. They're usually referred to as warlocks, hemetics, or transgressors. You look at Sophie with a hint of disbelief. Blood sorcerers? Pretty sure Mark from AQ used to brag about having a level 70 blood sorcerer. Somehow you don't think he meant magical vampires. Sophie snickers. Oh, child. Don't be caught with that look on your face when you meet a warlock in person. They really are adept at using vitae, their own, as well as others, to unique and potent effects. vitae. Narrow term for the blood of a vampire. Since they are quite rigid in their hierarchy, the kindred I had in mind for you might need some persuading. His name is Agathon. Agathon? From what I hear, he is quite the scholar, very ambitious, the child of a noted Timir here in New York, Aisling Sturbridge. Spend enough time with Ashton and I'm sure you'll run into hers. Agathon. Agathon. Agathon? Agathon. I accidentally read Aisling again. Into her sooner or later. Blood magic? Intriguing. This whole blood magic thing sounds intriguing. Oh yes, fascinating. It is also a well-kept secret of the Tremere. Don't expect them to share it right away. Some things have to be earned. Because in Vampire the Masquerade, you do have, well, V5 introduced predator types for those who are not thin-blooded, so you could technically have 4 disciplines, but everyone starts with 3 disciplines. Your clan disciplines. Thin Bloods, they can get 1 discipline, but most of the time they can't learn disciplines normally. Unless they have the merit discipline affinity. But they also have their own discipline called Thin Blood Alchemy, where they concoct like quote-unquote potions and elixirs that can enhance themselves or mimic other disciplines. But it is possible to learn more disciplines in Vampire the Masquerade by feeding off the blood of a vampire that owns that discipline, but some disciplines also require a teacher. Blood magic is such. Like, yeah, you can feed off a Timir, but you're not gonna learn blood sorcery unless you have a blood sorcerer teacher. And I think the same can be said about, Protein? That's the gangrel discipline where they can shapeshift. But so yeah. I still need to read up on it. I'm still learning the system. Anyway, if you wish to contact the young Jameer, I hear you can usually find him in a New Age bookstore out on Broadway. At Tamir have one of their workshops there. Gregory will give you the details. Okay. Now, this next recommendation comes with a bit of a caveat. As you recall me saying, most bloodlines have unique features that might not be obvious at first glance. Well, there is one clan whose members wear their curse on their sleeves. Is she talking about the Nosferatu? Yep, the Nosferatu. We met one in... We met 2 in Bloodlines, so it might be familiar. Clan Nosferatu. The Clan of the Hidden are known under many names. Hives, Lerpers, Sewer Rats, Carnies, Scabs, Orlocks. But a few of them sound pleasant. For the Nosferatu, the embrace is a journey through abjection, as the blood of the horror gradually deforms the struggling tissues of the human body into grotesque abominations. Weeks of pain result in deformities similar to terrible birth defects, cancer growths, crippling injuries, and leper-like sores. I didn't say leper, I think it's leper, yeah. Those who endure it find themselves as monstrous echoes of Murnau's silver screen vision. Oh yeah, they're talking about the Nosferatu movie. But perhaps pain and humiliation teaches compassion. The Nosferatu, as they jokingly call themselves, because they're referencing the movie, I think. I still need to read up on the Nosferatu. Are the most humane of the kindred, wearing their curses on the outside rather than the inside, to blend in. Some call on the blood to wear the borrowed faces of their victims, or disappear from sight, while others rely on prosthetics and heavy makeup. Man, what's with these goofy names? Guess they're not really big on Blue Oyster Cult. No wonder they make their havens in sewers, abandoned buildings, and such. Their appearance is hideous and obviously unnatural. Had they walked the streets like other kindred, the kin would have learned our existence long ago. Did she just stutter? It's hard to tell with her usual complexion, but you can swear her skin suddenly took on an even more sickly color. The one I have in mind isn't as big an eyesore as the worst of them, but he is no Andronis either. Still, he has some talents and connections that you might find useful. His name is D'Angelo, and he has an office, for lack of a better term, in the otherwise abandoned grain terminal in Red Hook, right next to one of those Swedish stores. The name escapes me. The one with awful furniture. What, IKEA? A Swedish furniture store? You mean IKEA? Yes, that's it. I mean... Oh yeah, she's a Toreador. For me, IKEA's pretty fine. They're not ugly. Like, it's not the designer best stuff, because, you know, they're affordable, but... Then I remember she's a Toreador, and they see beauty and ugliness in a lot of things. Yes, that's it. My mind struggles to retain things that are aesthetically displeasing. D'Angelo does odd jobs for Coteries, digging up dirt, locating kindred who would prefer to remain hidden. The kind of work the Nosferatu are best at. He's on a case right now. Something to do with Kane murderers, I think. After your initial brush with our dear sheriff, I think it would be wise to show some goodwill towards his agenda. Assisting D'Angelo with his investigation might be just the best thing. Might just be the thing. I know we probably won't get my other favorite clan, the Gangrel, because the Gangrel also broke from the Camarilla and joined the Anarchs. But if there's a Gangrel, I could befriend a Gangrel in this game, I'll help out the Gangrel. But I don't think you can. She takes a brief pause to look out the window again. Now come the two more exotic proposals. Exotic? As if the Blood Mage and the Vampire Detective were business as usual. Yes! Gangrel! Wow! The timing on that! You may have heard about the Gangrel before. They are a wild clan in touch with their beasts, in a way others might not dare to attempt. They mostly keep out of big cities, but there are exceptions. Let me tell you about this clan. Clan Gangrel. Clan Gangrel are outcasts, wanderers, rogues, and hunters. They make havens in the poorest parts of the city and feel no shame for doing so. They claim few domains as their own, but defer to no prince. If a pharaoh enters a city, the prince will either accept it or have to fight the pharaoh to get them to back down. Gangrel embrace from the ranks of survivors and fighters, leaders of prison crews and gangs, explorers, urban and otherwise, and any kin who sees the world as something to traverse instead of something to hide from. So, technically speaking, the Gangrel are the opposites of Nosferatu. But the thing is, you could also say that Toreador is the opposite of the Nosferatu, because Toreadors are pretty... well, yeah. They care not for looks or title, but for accomplishment and reputation. They are commonly referred to as wolves, feral, and outcasts, or in a more derogatory manner, as animals, strays, and savages. Normally, They haven't been a part of the camp. I mean, I don't think they're anarch. I think they're actually independent. Now that I think about it, like I need to recheck because I might run a game in the future, but I'm pretty sure because I know there's gangrel bloodlines who are Sabbat. Oh, the game hasn't explained the Sabbat yet, but the Sabbat, you know, they're like, they don't care about the Masquerade, they do whatever they want, they're vampires as well. If you watch my Bloodline streams, they're kind of the enemy of that game, besides hunters and other stuff. But, yeah, I think the gangrels are just random. I think most of the time they're just independent. Normally, they haven't been part of the Camarilla for over 2 decades, but one kindred I would like you to meet has strong, shall we say, familiar ties to the sect. Her name is Tamika. Her sire Jezebel was instrumental during the Battle of New York back in 1999. The very same battle that cemented the city as a Camarilla domain. Sadly, her achievements have gone largely unrecognized. Tamika and a number of her siblings still reside in the domain. They were rewarded after the battle. Prospect Park. Jezebel herself left the city some years ago, fed up with being underappreciated. Anything about Tamika? You seem to know a lot about her sire, but is there anything else you can tell me about Tamika? I asked around. Out of all Jezebel's kinder, Tamika is known to be the most rational and cool-headed, at least for a gangrel. That said, she's likely to have a unique way of appraising your worth. I cannot say how exactly, but you should be prepared for an interesting conversation at the very least. Then again, that can be said of almost every kindred in the city. There's that mysterious smile again. So, you see, seeking out Tamika could prove quite educational, if nothing else. And who knows, perhaps you will find her temperament to be a welcome change of pace. I'm befriending the gangrel. But speaking of change of pace, I have one last suggestion for you, though it's one I don't make lightly. The kindred who calls herself Hope. She's a Malkavian. Oh, the insane ones. They are a uniquely cursed clan. For centuries, we considered them mad, insane, unhinged. But those of us who spend enough time with them come to understand the truth. Clan Malkavian. Psychologists would diagnose the children of Malkai with schizophrenia, depression, obsessive-compulsive disorder, or post-traumatic stress disorder, sometimes all at once. In reality, Clan of the Moon are all of these things and none. Like the wise madmen of poetry, their derangement stems from seeing too much of the world at once, from understanding too deeply. Wait. I lost where I was. And feeling emotions that are too strong to bear. They self-medicate with blood, but this is just a temporary solution. All Malkavians suffer mental illness following the embrace, sometimes accentuating an existing condition. Other times, adding a new dimension to their instability. As if their thoughts and actions were based on otherworldly logic, there seems to be no knowing when their condition will manifest destructively or when it will offer important perspectives. Where such were previously lacking. They are referred to as oracles, jesters, and visionaries, or in a more insulting manner as madmen, liabilities, and lunatics. Boop. It is no sickness, but a unique perspective of the world that has them appear as to us as unstable, and that perspective can prove to be very valuable. Having a Malkavian as your companion might be taxing on the nerves and a real test of patience at times, but their insight and intuition are unrivaled among kindred. As for Hope, specifically, she is said to be a recluse, but I have it on good authority that she can currently be found in an internet cafe. I believe it's called, in Lower Manhattan. Gregory has the address. An internet cafe? Quaint. An internet cafe? Really? How quaint. I really wouldn't know. But since you brought it up, be aware that Camarilla is highly critical of using the internet to communicate. The Second Inquisition made sure of that. Exercise caution at her haven. Like, Heba tells me that depending on the elder, like the Camarilla, like, they'll still allow you to use the internet, like, to watch videos and stuff, but they probably won't let you use it for social media. Because they don't want vampires to have an online presence. So you could use it, like, to look up. You could use it to, look up stuff from Google or watch YouTube videos, but that's about it. You probably can't make a YouTube account. I mean, if you're I'd like to argue with Heba, maybe if you're careful enough, because as a VTuber and YouTuber myself, there are YouTube accounts that are inactive, and they only have the accounts to like and subscribe to other YouTubers. Like, they're not making videos themselves, so technically speaking, you don't have a presence, but you have an account. And also from last stream, we found out that Sophie's old apartment, our current apartment, has a streaming service, so I don't think there's anything wrong with having an account as long as you're not vlogging or making videos. The Second Inquisition, often abbreviated as SI, a collective name among vampires for the recent coordinated efforts of intelligence agencies to combat the kindred as if they were a terrorist threat. Few individual agents understand that they are fighting the intra-agency collaboration codenamed First Light. Places enormous import on keeping their operations secret and disguised as anti-terrorist action. Well, I believe that's all of them. I still have a few social calls to make tonight, so I'll leave you to it. Use tonight and tomorrow night to arrange some Curdle visits of your own. Also, Heba sent me the book for Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. They have mentioned that some kindred do like to go to the internet cafes and play video games, so you could probably still play online games as long as the computer is at your house, so they can't track you. Because if it's a public place, then I think it's relatively fine. I'll send Gregory for you as soon as I have further need of your services. Oh, that reminds me. You will need a car. Join us downstairs, won't you? She smiles once more and turns to her driver. He helps her put on her coat, and the three of you leave Sophie's apartment. She points to one of the cars near the building as Gregory hands you the keys. It's a rather inconspicuous compact car, a decent looking, if not luxurious ride. What if you don't know how to drive and they just give you a car? That would be awkward. Stay safe, Jaws. This is your first night alone. Don't let it be your last. As they drive away, you find yourself with more freedom than you've had for the past few nights. A blessing or a burden. Time will tell. With a list of addresses in your hand, you consider your next move. It's a kind of magic. Sophie's mention of a vampire clan of blood sorcerers sparked your attention. One of them, Agathon, could potentially be your introduction into the bizarre powers of the Temir. Wait! No! No! I made a mistake. I made a mistake. I wanted to go to the gangrel. Hang on. I'm gonna reload a save. No, I can't reload a save. Darn it. Yeah, I can't reload. I should have been paying more attention, but I don't mind befriending the Shamir, but hopefully I don't make the same mistake next night. You arrive at the address given to you by Sophie. A small bookstore smack that... Oh, because I wanted to talk with the Shamir and the gangrel. I was gonna do the gangrel first, but I screwed up. And if I find out I can't... Because Sophie said use this night and the next night to prepare, so I'm guessing I have an hour chance. Smack dab in the middle of Broadway, of all places. What really catches you off guard, though, is the store's display. From what you've heard about the Tremere, they are infamous for their ties to the occult and the mystical. And yet now, looking at the oddball collection of items in this display window, it all feels sublime, satirical. The books here cover everything from Ayurvedic practices and homeopathy to wellness and self-motivation. The vaguely amusing juxtaposition don't end there either. You find a copy of Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible tucked behind a cheap, smiling Buddha. A scientific journal on hematology sits next to a teen-oriented pamphlet on the blood type personality theory. A number of religious and quasi-religious symbols, lockets, pins, and various emblazoned paraphernalia are haphazardly strewn across the display and between the tomes. Before you even open the door, you can smell the burning incense and hear the corny Far East tinkled music seeping through the crackling speaker mounted above the entrance. It's much more quaint than what you expected from what Sophie told you about the so-called warlocks. It doesn't look like they have much interest in impressing outsiders. Then again, if there's anything you've learned these past few nights, it's that appearances can be deceiving. At this time of night, the shop appears to be closed. Regardless, you ring the bell. You hear someone shuffling around inside. A brief moment later, the latch slides and the door is pushed open just a few inches. A tired-looking blonde in loose clothes appears in the crack. She seems confused, like you just woke her up. She lets out a yawn, scratching at her tattooed neck. Finally, she squints in your general direction. Her pierced lips curves into an awkward smile. Is Agathon in? Agathon? I'm looking for a guy named Agathon. Is he around? The girl gives you a suspicious look, but opens the door. She takes a few steps back, and you hear footsteps coming from behind a floral curtain that covers the back door. A bespectacled man, a bespectacled smart-looking woman emerges and looks straight at you. Come in and follow me. Just don't touch anything, please. You follow her through the store. Inside, as expected, the stuffy air smells of sandalwood, frankincense, and a dozen other aromas. The woman leads you behind the curtain and through the back door onto a rickety staircase. A flight of steps takes you up to the second story. You instantly notice the change in decor as the tacky new age bookstore gives way to something resembling a cross between a library and a workshop. The smell here is strong too, but more layered. You're not sure what to make of it at first, but with each whiff, it becomes apparent. Blood. The aroma, though, subtle at first, soon becomes overpowering. It takes you a moment to adapt and focus. Oh, she's the sire of Anton. I don't think you know who you're speaking with, so an introduction is in order. My name is Esling Sturbridge, and I am the High Regent of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs. Regiment. Each chantry has a regiment. The regiment is responsible for the tutelage of all other Tremere in the domain. While the regiment may not teach them personally, she must ensure all Tremere are being educated. The regiment's other duties extend to the clan's protection in their domain, and sometimes its representation on the Primogen Council. Chantry, a traditional name for the Tremere headquarters in the city, usually part shelter, part library, and part laboratory. You are Jaws, correct? I have to say, you're lucky the ward outside the building is only there for notifications tonight. Otherwise, it would have been quite unpleasant. To answer your question, Agathon is here, but he's hard at work, and I wouldn't want to disturb him. Am I to understand this is a social visit? High Regiment sounds important. High Regiment of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs? That's quite a mouthful. It might sound fancy, but that's because there's a well-established tradition behind it. One you'd be wise not to ridicule. Some might take offense, me for one. What is it you're here for? Sophie mentioned Agathon to me. Sophie suggested I meet Agathon. She said he's quite knowledgeable. Did she now? As Ling looks you up and down, her countenance seems unchanged, but you can tell she's judging what you said. That's new. Suddenly a man enters from a side room. He doesn't even look at you, lost in his own thoughts. I have it, Esling. I think I know how to find it. He catches himself as he notices you. His face turns sour. A visitor? Yes, we were just discussing you in bed. Is that so? Sophie Langley recommended you. Yes, Sophie Langley recommended that I contact you about teaming up. Teaming up? He seems very confused by the notion. For what? I could assist you in your work. I can be quite helpful knowing I can count on someone to return the favor. Is that right? He seems to consider it, then turns to Ainsling. Hi, Reginald. May I ask your advice on this? She looks you over, as if judging your worth. It takes her just long enough to make you feel uncomfortable. When she takes her eyes off you, she addresses Agathon. Do you feel like you need assistance in your task, my child? I'm confident I can do it on my own. He pauses, hesitating for a second. But I do believe it is important enough to warrant outside help, even if only for a single night. So let me see the controls. Another brief moment of hesitation. Of course, the details would remain between you and I, sire. Agreed on all points. Why don't you start by giving our intern here a brief explanation of what is it you're after? Agathon gives Esling a hesitant look, but the woman nods approvingly. Encouraged, he turns towards you. A member of our clan disappeared without a trace a handful of nights ago. While the High Regiment investigates if any foul play was involved, I have been tasked with recovering her research notes. If there is anything left to recover, that is. I may have an idea where to start looking, and I suppose this is where you come in. If you truly wish to help, I could use your assistance tonight. Right now, in fact, given the time you've just wasted on idle chatter, I should leave immediately. Let's see. I caught that one's rude. What's the rush? That one I'm nosy, so I'm gonna say who's the missing person. And the missing kindred. Who's she? A single glance at Asling is enough. You can tell you're not getting an answer, at least for now. We're after her research. That's what you should focus on. These people aren't in the habit of making things simple. Facing layers upon layers of secrecy, you can only hope that what lies beneath is the real deal. I'm heading out. Are you coming or not? Sure, I'll join you. Very well. I mean, I could have backed up, but I think it would have been rude if I just left. Like, I really hope I could at least befriend the gang girl later on. I mean, a coterie is a group of vampires. It's not just like 2 vampires, so yeah. He gives Ainsley a slight bow. Hi, Reginald. With your permission, she nods. Before you go, however, Jaws, defer to Agathon in all things. Our clan values obedience above everything else. Prove you can follow, and this might turn into a mutually beneficial relationship. I mean, so far I've been listening to everything everyone tells me to do, except for that one time I ran from Coteries. That one time, yes, I replicated that when I had to remake my save, but yeah. I will await his return and his report. Good luck, my child. Agathon bows again and heads out, urging you to follow. The High Regiment watches you leave. Outside, Agathon leads you to his car. It's almost funny seeing him get behind a wheel. Somehow you'd expect a more mystical means of transportation. You drive south, heading to the Lower East Side. Agathon seems lost in thought. Either that, or he's a very careful driver. Either way, several minutes pass in silence. So the High Regiment is your sire? Did I get that right? Yes. He seems to be thinking of the right words before he decides to address you again. Let me ask you something. Why me? There's likely a couple hundred of us kindred in New York, yet you seek me out specifically. Why? You sounded interesting. I've been told of a few younger vampires I should meet. You sounded like an interesting guy. Interesting. I see. Once more, he grows silent. You're unsure whether to continue prying as your driver seems to disappear to his thoughts. You drive into Williamsburg and stop by a fancy-looking building. We're here. There's a restaurant on the top floor. You wanted to help, so here's your chance. I need you to get us inside the VIP lobby. Once we're in, I need about half an hour of focus and some space. It'd be up to you to keep attention away from the room. Can you do that? He doesn't wait for an answer and points to the front door. Go ahead, I'm right behind you. The two of you take the elevator up to the restaurant. The door opens and you see that there are only a few guests left, sitting at their tables. An important looking staff member approaches you. Good evening. I'm sorry, but the restaurant is closing for the night. I can make reservations for next week if you wish. We're location scouting. Hey, we're not your regular customers, in fact. We're location scouting for a movie. We'll just take a quick look around and we're gone. No, I'm sorry. We are not interested in being featured in a movie. I will have to ask you to look elsewhere. I would suggest Smith and Wilski or the 21 Club. Here we are. Every opportunity I have, I will use my discipline. Hey, it's all good. We can come in. We'll be in the VIP lounge. It won't take long. The man blinks. A confused smile appears on his face. Yes, of course. Not a problem. Please, come right in. You walk in, trying to look casual and make your way towards the VIP lobby. You step inside and close the door behind you. My throat is dry and I forgot to get my drink from downstairs, so it's a nice place. Very highbrow. Lots of old expensive looking furniture and private rooms to discuss any surgery business one discusses when you're that rich. Your companion looks at you with something akin to admiration, or at least that's what you chose to interpret the slight change in his usual somber facade. Not bad. Not bad at all. He inspects the room. It's unusually cold, and Agathon soon discovers why. Looking behind the curtain, a window hangs open. The handle and lock look like they've been dissolved, as if with acid. God damn it, Juno. Who's Juno? How about I tell you some other time? He takes a frantic look around the room. This changes things. Keep an eye on the door. I'll need some time, half an hour, at the very least. Nobody disturb me, understand? He hastily pushes a couch and some potted plants out of the way, moves a bar stool and takes a curved knife, cutting into his own arm. He lets some of his blood drip onto the wooden floor. It's pretty fucked up, the way his blood oozes the red, thick vitae. In life, you'd have found it stomach churning, but right now, you feel oddly turned on by the sight. What follows is more disturbing yet. With one hand, he sheathes the knife and seals the wound. With the other, he smears the blood around him while muttering some weird chant. It sounds vaguely Latin, but you're pretty sure it isn't. It's all more than a little disconcerting, but he seems to know what he's doing. A few moments later, the circle starts glowing faintly as thin wisps of smoke surround Agathon. He sits down in the middle, cross-legged, legs crossed, eyes closed. Minutes pass. Agathon's face twitches from time to time, and his head turns every now and then, as if he was looking around or listening in on a conversation. The smoke grows thicker, forming a veil around the mage. You expected something more flashy, but it's still a sight to behold. You wonder what the point of it is, but refrain from asking. It's probably best to let Agathon do his thing. For close to 30 minutes, you're left to your own devices. Then suddenly, the door opens slightly, and the manager leans into the room. You tense up for a second, but he gives you an awkward smile. Anything you need? You shoo him. You shoo him away before he can take a closer look at your companion. He retreats obediently. 2 minutes later, Agathon casually gets up the floor and walks over to the sofa. He pushes his hand between the cracks of the upholstery and fishes something out. He then turns to you and nods. We're done here. Let's go. You make your way back to the elevator, passing the manager on your way. He gives you a slight, somewhat confused smile, but neither him nor any of his staff get in your way. Despite that, the elevator ride feels tense, and the two of you only relax once inside Agathon's car. He starts the engine and takes a ride to the Continental Army Plaza back onto the bridge. You're just about to say something, but he beats you to it. That went better than I expected, all things considered. It might have been a trick of the light, but you're pretty sure you just saw a smile. I'm used to working alone, but what I'm dealing with right now, it might require some more assistance, and you seem capable enough. Thanks, I guess. Gee, thanks. I take it that's your way of showering me with praise? You could swear you just made him smirk. You did fine. Once you really impress me, I'll be sure to let you know. It does. I got an achievement. It doesn't take you long to reach the warlock's hideout. Agathon waves at you absentmindedly once again, lost in his thoughts. Hopelessly so. One of these nights, you should probably take him up on his offer. Who knows? If you gain his trust, maybe you can actually break through his stoic facade and meet the man underneath. Oh, I can meet someone again? Oh no, I need to rest. You notice something strange by the front door of your haven. A letter been slipped under the door in a cream-colored old-fashioned envelope. There's no name on it, but you know it's meant for you. Opening the letter, it's clear it's been sent by someone incredibly old-fashioned, rich, or a fan of classic stationery. No normal person sends letters like this. Really? Has it really been that long? Because I remember receiving letters back then. I mean, I am old, but, you know. The note is short and terse. Terse? Written in elegant, delicate handwriting. You're cordially invited to a rendezvous at the Cathedral of Saint John Divine. I'll be waiting to make your acquaintance tomorrow night. Look for me closer to God. There's no other information. It looks like you have a mysterious invitation for the following night. I need to feed soon. How am I supposed to feed? Okay, this is the gangrel. I forgot to read the gangrel stuff, but it said neonate or something. You make your way through the Grand Army Plaza, passing the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Arc. I'm starting to panic that I might need to feed soon. Because I know feeding is a mechanic in this game. You can't help but feel a strange tinge of nostalgia as you picture the times you've seen it countless times, in broad daylight, teeming with life. You quickly get over it and pass through the northwest gate into Prospect Park. The park is its usual maze of unkept foliage and dimly lit alleys. Silence hangs in the air, as it would at this time of night, and there doesn't appear to be any sign of kindred presence. You start to suspect Laney's sources fed her a bunch of bullshit, but you're not willing to give up just yet. As you ponder your options, you hear footsteps coming from behind a line of trees. Quick, but evenly paced, almost likely a late-night jogger. No vampire would take kindly to you feeding in their domain, but then again, perhaps you can kill two birds with one stone. Feeding opportunity. I need to feed. You lock onto the footsteps. Predicting the runner's path, you move swiftly but quietly to intercept them. You hide behind a tree and wait for your prey to get closer. Mere seconds later, a young man in an off-brand tracksuit trots into view. You notice the buds in his ear, heavy music bleeding through. That should make things easier. As the man passes by, you emerge behind him and plant your hand firmly onto his neck. He struggles at first, desperately trying to break free of your grasp. But as soon as your fangs pierce his skin, panic gives way to peaceful submission. You feel elated as the warm liquid trickles down your throat. The fresh vitae washes over your senses, sending an orgasmic shiver along your spine. Somewhere in the deepest, darkest crevices of your mind, the beast steers in its slumber. You stop feeding just in time. Your hunger satiated, the beast fast asleep. You sit the dazed victim on a nearby bench. As the world comes back into focus, you suddenly realize that something is not right. For a split second, the air by the side of your head swirls with a vortex. Driven by sheer instinct, you lean back as a five-fingered razor... You lean back as a five-fingered shaped razor cut through the darkness, missing your face by an inch. A clawed shadow jumps back a few paces, preparing to correct its mistake. You catch a glimpse of the assailant. Looks pretty animalistic. Alright. It looks pretty animalistic, alright. But he's not the one you're looking for. For starters, it's a he. Just as he's about to lunge at you, a snarling resounds from the bushes nearby, stopping your foe in their tracks. Out of the shadows emerges a young woman, baring her teeth ever so slightly. She walks over calmly, her eyes fixated on your assailant. Her presence is enough to make him reconsider attacking you, but not to withdraw completely. He glances over to her, puffing up his chest. Gangrel. Stay out of it, Tam. I smell them first. Tam, how about that? She raises an eyebrow, but remains silent. Her compatriot turns back towards you. You shouldn't have come here, pretty boy. I'm gonna fuck you up so bad, you'll be wearing your tongue as a fucking necktie. Tamika looks at you, expectantly. You know what? I'm gonna act like a Bruja. He tried to attack me, so it's only fair. So you can bark. Let's see you bite. Alright, boy. Let's see if your bite is as bad as your bark. Clearly taken aback, he looks over to Tamika, as if gauging her reaction. Guess I know who the alpha is. Guess I know who the alpha is around here. A barely visible smile creeps up on Tamika's lips. The man's eyes narrow, although you can't really see it. You can bet the hair on the back of his neck just stood up. Shut your fucking mouth, pretty boy. You should have run when you had the chance. A fierce growl echoes across the alley, stopping the savage in his tracks. Tamika walks over to her comrade, her fangs glistening in the dim lamplight. She puts her hand on the side of his head, caressing his hair, and tugging at his ear as if she was scolding a puppy. She leans over and speaks in a voice that's firm, yet oddly affectionate. It's okay, Raoul. I'll handle it from here. The male gangrel looks at her with a mix of timidity and resentment. Then he turns back towards you. You wanna waste time on this asshole, Tam? Be my guest. I'm a Bruja. I still need to look for an opportunity to use potence. Having said his piece, Raoul retreats into the shadows. Although if you were to guess, he's likely to stay within earshot. With her companion gone, Tamika turns to you once more. What do you want? Straight to the point. I like that. Straight to the point. Huh. I like that. I don't care what you like. Now quit stalling. You have something to say, say it. I'm looking for partners. I come with an offer. I'm willing to offer you my services, such as they are. All I would hope for in return is a fruitful, long-lasting relationship. So you want to help me with something because you want to be my friend. That about right? Sounds corny, I know. Yeah, when you put it that way, it does sound corny, does it? Uh-huh. She puts on a veneer of skepticism, but you can tell she's intrigued. Corny's not bad, though. I think I'm okay with corny. What I'm not okay with is putting my ass on the line and getting stabbed in the back for my trouble. So why exactly should I trust anything you say? I don't expect you to. I can make it work here. Well, this isn't like Jezebel. I know how the Camarilla treated your sire. I know you all got burnt, but that's not how I do things, and you're not Jezebel. For a brief moment, she stares off into space. You can tell you've struck a chord. Finally, she snaps back to life and looks at you with a mix of hope and melancholy. I'm not, aren't I? For a brief moment, she stands there, motionless, looking straight into your eyes, as if trying to size you up. Finally, she looks away. Looks like she's come to a decision. Just so we're clear, I don't trust you. I have no reason to. Frankly, you sound more lost than I am. That's true. I am lost because I was literally a vampire. I literally just got turned like 4 nights ago. Still, you have the earnest look in you. Naive, almost. I can tell you believe what you're saying. So I'll give you a chance to prove yourself. Oh, I got another achievement. I have some outstanding business to take care of. I'll let you know once that's done. Meet me here and we'll see what you're made of. With that, Tamika disappears into the night. That went pretty well, all things considered. Okay. Let us see. I can go back to him, or... I feel like the Malkavian will be interesting. Faith and Myth, Part 1. I don't know, should I go to a church? I am a vampire after all. Decisions. Like, I do want to learn more about how the internet is kind of handled. So... let's go with the Malkavian. Because I need friends. It's a quiet, moody internet cafe. Half of its space serves as a comfy coffee bar these days. Put behind a glass wall, it still has a space dedicated to rows of PCs. From the street, you can notice tired adults in casual clothes typing away absent-mindedly, and some bored kids wasting the late evenings on colorful online games. If Sophie's intel is to be believed, this is where Hope has set up her haven. One of the waitresses is standing outside the building, gazing at the sky with a smartphone in one hand and a vape pen in the other. You approach the man and tell him, "I'm looking for Hope." He releases a self-chuckle. "Yeah, you and me both." The man slowly takes a drag out of his cigar, sizing you up and down in silence. Up and down in silence. After a long, awkward moment, when you're ready to leave him be, he raises his voice again. Come, right this way." He heads back into the cafe, and you follow his lead. Wow, I can't believe they actually mentioned Fortnite. When you make your way through the space with computers, no one averts their gaze from spreadsheets, emails, Facebook profiles, or games of Fortnite. It's a common sight, one you wouldn't have paid much attention to a few weeks ago, but now it seems so utterly quaint. What would they still be spending their time like this if they were immortal? The waiter unlocks an unassuming door at the end of the room and lets you inside. You two swiftly make your way through the labyrinth of stale gray corridors, taking confusing twists and turns. Feels like you're traveling into a different world. If I'm given an opportunity again, I'll speak to the Nosferatu. Can I talk to everyone? Or can I only choose a handful of vampires? Crossing one visible portal after another. Eventually, you reach your destination. Your guide motions you to enter a dark room with a lone source of pale light, a computer screen in the distance beckoning you to come closer. Maybe I'll meet everyone, then I'll make my decision for the best two, or best three, or however else the game wants me to have. As you do, you hear the door shutting behind your back, and a short chuckle echo behind it. Is this the place? Nothing else to do but to sit on a chair in front of a computer. The monitor displays a modern chat application. A sensor is blinking in the username entry filled in the middle of the screen, obviously expecting you to input your handle. After reconsideration, you type in. If it was me, in real life, I'd do something goofy. Maybe it's your profound sensibilities going haywire, but this is something... But this place has a barely noticeable sleazy aura. Might as well go along with it. You input pornos collector and pressed enter. After a few seconds, the chat window opens and messages start appearing on the screen in quick succession. Oh no, it's an actual chat room. Okay, let me quickly go back to my mouse so I can scroll up, because for some reason it wasn't letting me scroll with the triggers, toggles, or whatever you call them. Just to be clear, I don't have a wank rug, Lamau. That's hostage executioner, and Code of Luna. For sure. No, for real. Lamau. Was that meant for Jerry? Oh. OFC. Not much longer. Yeah, Jerry is the chat MVP. I mean, I've admitted to far worse things on here. God, I'm so horny. That's from Sex Bozo. That was Bastardo. That was Jesse Hooker. Not sure why I'd have to lie about this one. OMG, who cares? Turtle Guy. You and me both, Bozo. Wait, who is Pornos Collector? Pornos Collector? No idea. A new user wasn't here a second before. What the hell? Was anyone informed? No announcement. I know I wasn't at Jerry 2010. A Pornos Collector. Identify yourself within 2 minutes or get banned. The chat goes silent, everyone seemingly waiting for you to say something before proceeding. This must be a close-knit group. Better say something before they kick you out. If I say I'm a vampire, that's a Masquerade violation. Forest Collector. I'm looking for Hope. Is she here? Who the fuck are you? This was meant to be a safe channel. Investigating what went wrong. How did they even get in here? Stay calm. Can you get their location, Jerry? Lol. Yeah, sure. That's our Jerry. Now DM it to anyone interested. Oh boy. Now you're in trouble at Pornos Collector. Yeah, you're gonna regret, dumbass. The day you dare to decide to spy on us. Oh, you can use presents on the internet? Presents, try to get the chat under control. You've had enough of these trash-talking randoms. Time to teach them some respect. Your blood fires up. Ancient power starts coursing through your veins. Fingers tapping the keyboard buttons on their own. Horse Collector. You better stay quiet if you know what's good for you. You have no idea who you're messing with. You will obey me. The chat goes silent once again, and then it explodes. Okay, looks like presence doesn't work online. What am I looking at here? Lol. Oh shit, watch out for... He started typing properly. I'm so glad I decided to log in earlier today. That's Hearts Filthy, Vigor, Thirst Victim. You have no idea who you're messing with. Oh, that guy's just mocking me now. I'll be so pissed if I miss this. You know, he means business. Guess powers don't work online. Go figure. You know, your cheeks would have turned red right now if they could. Yuri, got the info. Nice. If I die, asshole, you die. You will die, die, die. I'm mowing at every sentence. I'm literally on my way to kill you right now. I'm sorry, Rip. Right here, right. Clearing this out. A split second, you read the message. You feel someone's arm tightening around your neck. The violent return to reality catches you off guard. A jolt of panic rushes through your brain, paralyzing you for a momentarily. Come to the wrong chat room, motherfucker. A ridiculous whisper rings out to your ear, and the grip under your head gets even tighter. You start struggling, but even with your newfound supernatural strength, you're having trouble breaking out. This isn't a normal human you're dealing with. Last words? I feel like just doing this. Your chat room sucks. I don't know. I'll piss her off more. Sophie sent me here. Lately? The hand holding your chin shifts its position slightly. Don't struggle, or I will break your windpipe on my phone. Or my phone. Which one... Wait, which would end even worse for you? Sounds of camera shutter and light flashing. Did they just take some selfies with you? Alright, that's enough fun. I'm letting you go. We can have a talk. Don't do anything stupid, Mr. Intruder. Pretty please. The mysterious assailant loosens their grip on you and gently pushes you away. You quickly turn to take a good look at them. Let me just finish this. It's a blonde woman in her 20s, giving you slightly judgmental looks while rapidly typing away at her phone screen. First, you notice her outrageous outfit, seemingly thrown together from random thrift store finds. Then you take note of her tattoos, a sprawling tapestry of odd patterns and designs covering every visible part of her body. At first glance, it all seems aimless, but it has a consistent sense of style upon closer inspection. Her eyes focus on you for a second. Gave you a scare, huh? Sorry. That's what you get for entering a lady's haven without her permission. And she's back on her phone. With her relatively small build, it's hard to believe you had trouble overpowering her physically. Why can't I use potence? But then again, nothing is what it seems when it comes to the undead. And even compared to vampires you've met so far, she comes off as eccentric, curious presence. Wait, now I'm starting to lose my readings. She comes off as an eccentric, curious presence. She shoots you another glance, noticing you're still cautious of her. Calm yourself, man. I won't pull anything like this anymore. It's just a feel stupid saying it out loud vibe check. Vibe check. Yeah, I got a glimpse of your vibe on the internet and in dangerous situation. I'd say you've got a pretty good idea about who you are. I've got a pretty good idea about who you are. I'm Hope, by the way. If you're here, you've probably heard of me, so I went ahead and skipped the pleasantries. But come to think of it, I might have skipped too many of those. Yep, she definitely fits the description you were given by Sophie. I still can't believe you got so mad online. You tried to use your powers on people trash talking about you from who knows where, Jesus. But you know, I gotta respect that dedication. It's amusing. Oh yeah, credit where credit's due. You're probably not a boring person online, going by your chosen handle. Believe it or not, among bloodsuckers, that's still rare as hell. Most of them are like clueless baby boomers when it comes to internet stuff. Anyway, don't worry about the chat. It was all a game to us. No hard feelings, okay? I'll introduce you properly later. On the monitor, the chatter continues normally. Your visit is like yesterday's news. No longer relevant to anything. Feels like Discord. But look, if we're going to talk about you, you should have something to say too. What are you doing here? About time, she asked. Note to self, she really loves the sound of her own voice. I'm looking for people to join my coterie. Coterie? Been there, done that, not interested unless... She takes a closer look at you. Her eyes go wide. Wait, shit. Are you the new Lanely plaything? Word seems to be getting around fast. Of course you are. It was obvious the second Lanely got her hands on a new servant, she'd start building a network. Your missions tell me that could really come in handy, but Lanely, that's a risky game. This kind of ambition attracts too much attention. Piss off, but then again, fucking Kara. She seems to be having a spirited argument with herself. Only parts of it audible. It is just you, or her facial expressions and body language change a bit between one sentence and the other. Before you make certain it's not just your eyes playing tricks on you, she focused half of her attention back on you. The other half, of course, is still obsessed with her smartphone. Listen, I'm not saying I'm not interested in cooperation, but before I make a decision, I need to make sure you sort of understand me, and I sort of understand you. And since I was planning to put a show before you come in here, I propose a little game. Hope absentmindedly spins her phone in her hand, considering how to put her thoughts into words. Then she approaches a switch on the wall and flicks it. Neon lights flare up, illuminating the room. You take a look around. The room is certainly unique. It looks like a butcher's room, repurposed to be a living space. A modern computer in the front of you starkly contrasts the ambiguous industrial walls. Ominous. Why did I say ambiguous? Ominous. At the back, there's an overrated bed cover in... wait, what? At the back, there's an overrated bed covered in velvet with meat hooks hanging above it. On top of the bed sheets, you notice that there seems to be pieces of elaborate S&M equipment and a camera. Wait a minute. You want my help? Moderate my cam show. Do I need to censor? Should I worry about censoring? Cam show? Your eyebrows twitch involuntarily. Involuntarily. This is definitely not the kind of request you expect to hear tonight. She notices your confusion. Take it or leave it, buddy. You just became a kindred, but you want to become my partner in crime. Show me you can handle yourself while watching my back in everyday environment. My everyday environment. She's serious. The show starts in 10 minutes. If you think yourself better than this, better walk out the door right now. I won't hold a grudge. I've got better things to do. As if to prove it, she looks at something displayed on her phone and cracks a brief grin. Another reply, typed down with absurd speed. Tap, 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 tap. 9 minutes. It's now or never. Show moderator. Risk of violating the Masquerade high. Content warnings. Oh yes. So, do you take the job? I mean, do I have to return to Tamika? I want to build a relationship with all of these guys, so if I have to. Hope rolls her eyes further back than you thought was possible. If I have to, not exactly an aspiring person, are you? She begins to sigh, but stifles it quickly and reflects. Sorry, I get it. You might not have gotten a bad first impression of me or whatever, but I promise this will prove surprisingly educational. Alright, give me a second. She spends a minute setting up the computers you used before, then urges you to sit down. The explanation of the moderator's functionalities is simple. It boils down to ignoring anyone who doesn't disrupt the chat, banning anyone who does, and kicking anyone who's causing minor trouble. So Twitch moderator, or one of my mods here on YouTube. 5 minutes later, she's already online, sitting on her bed in a provocative pose. It is a sex show, isn't it? Her voice, previously hushed, rings out with full force. Provocative. There we go. Provocative pose. How are you doing tonight, hopefuls? You peek at the chat. Okay, let's see. We're not worthy, queen. Fucking A, angel. That face. Hell yeah, time to fuck. Ironically, I've never really modded anything, so yeah. You're tempted to try out the kick and ban prompts as soon as possible, but obviously you won't punish anyone for a little dirty talk. Thank you. Today's show is quite special. Please welcome our new moderator, Pornos Collector. Lamau. Oh, who? I'm sorry for sentencing you to death earlier. At least the community here seems to be a bit more welcoming this time. Looks like this place has an established hazing ritual. Or maybe they and Hope came up with one specifically for you. Who knows? You decide to stay silent. Eventually people stop rifling on you and focus entirely on the star of the show. Alright, let's start this one with a bang, shall we? It begins, Queen. Oh boy, she's gonna do it. So this is where the strip show starts. You raise your head, curious about what kind of performance she's going for. First, she opens her mouth and reveals her retractable fangs in front of the camera. Right off the bat, the online audience is treated to a sight of her wholly human set of teeth turning into a monster's maw. The image is both revolting and fascinating. She raises her left wrist for everyone to see, and then bites. The fang immediately turns her arm into a horrifying, gory mess. It's unclear if she used them to slash or bite. But one thing is for sure, no ordinary human can cause such damage. If an ordinary human suffered such a wound, you'd expect a geyser of blood to appear, too. But it doesn't. Hope's technically a corpse, so it's impossible. She flashes a monstrous smile and starts smearing vitae all over her hand to maximize the impact of the violent image. Then, she starts drinking it up. She makes it a point to make the sight as gruesome as possible, looking like a hyena feasting on a corpse. The contrast of her behavior with her look of an Instagram model is stunning. Once she's done, she reveals her wrist to the camera for the last time. She starts making theatrical gestures with her right hand as the wound begins to mend. Shortly after, the wound is gone. It's like a magician's trick. Her left hand looks like nothing bad ever happened to it. Here's an appetizer. First blood to kick off the show. While you're wondering what the hell is going on, Hope catches a glance of your bewildered face and turns into your direction. How's that for an opening? You're shooting snuff? Come on, it's just because it's progressive violence doesn't mean it's snuff. A brief moment of awkward silence. Besides, if I'm shooting snuff, I won't heal the wound. If you expected a strip show, yeah, sorry to disappoint. This is more like live stream digital art. The erotic subtext is there, of course. You peek at the chat, they're going wild. She did that for free. Look, I'd like to lick my fallen angel. Haha, yes, nothing more arousing than the beautiful woman teetering on the edge of oblivion. There are some sims in that chat. But eroticism is not the key here, it's vampirism. It's a new frontier, a living art installation. In the early 90s, the Japanese artists kept producing these videotapes with beautiful women committing glory harakiri. Those are an inspiration. She bares her fangs with a devious grin. But I've no interest in auto-destruction of turning myself into a victim. This is celebration of a body I love, not self-inflicted punishment. The audience came here to marvel at a beautiful vampire and her awe-inspiring powers. Mending wounds is just one of those powers. The people watching can pay to see more. Oh, and don't worry. The only things the audience can see and hear are the things I allow them to. You can talk freely, just remember to moderate the chat, will you? High risk of violating the Masquerade. What a joke. She's blatantly breaching it in front of anonymous viewers. Still speechless, you turn your attention to the screen. Hi, Ganta. Alright, I'm feeling generous today. Plant tattoo next to looking like a pink marshmallow covered in raspberry sauce. First victim, just letting you know you're based. I know, and then someone's masochist-sama. You give the guy a kick for spamming the chat. A few seconds later, Hope groans loudly. What the hell did you kick masochists for? It's normal for people to show their excitements for like this from time to time. I mean, he's a masochist. He probably likes being berated because I kicked him. Maybe he'll interpret it as his queen hurting him and be grateful. See? See? You agree with me. It's me punishing him. Maybe he'll interpret it as his queen hurting him and be grateful, but stop messing up. Oh well. A special message appears on the chat log, claiming somebody has successfully sponsored the first goal of the show. Hope smiles and picks up a bag of blood from underneath the bed. It must have been retrieved from a blood bag. She showcased the label to the camera for everyone to see. Hope, they also drink up. Hope pours all the content of the bag into her throat. You have no doubt it's real blood, but wonder why the viewers would be so satisfied with something that's so easy to fake. Don't worry, it tells way enough. It pays well enough. Why did I say way? You don't even bother to tell her this is not what you're thinking about. Safe to assume she knows. So what do you know about the kindred and the internet? Have they told you anything? Well, while she is waiting for someone to sponsor her next vampiric feat, she decides to start a conversation. Is there a vampire internet? If you find something that looks like vampire internet, stay away. Some of us used to experiment with our own secure networks. We try to build our own information hubs, social networks, everything. She's still working the phone in one hand while looking for something under the bed with the other. On how many things she can concentrate on at one time exactly? On how many things can she concentrate on at one time exactly? Then one day, the NSA got in. Turns out elders never really got the hang of proper security practices, or the sigils they used to smear on the screens didn't exactly work as advertised. That's kind of cute actually. Like, an elder tries to understand the internet and they think like putting a sigil on your computer screen would work. That's kind of cute. I know I'm being weird, but that's actually kind of cute. Then of course, all the other three-lettered intelligence agencies in the world got the intel, and a lot of them decided bloodsuckers were the perfect new enemies for our post 9/11 times. The second Inquisition came into being. Ever heard of it? Also, I should probably read that note. Elder. A vampire who has experienced at least 2 or more centuries of unlife. Elders are the most active participants in Jakad, the self-destructive war waged between the ancient undead. Elder vampires tend to manipulate their lesser kin, using them as pawns in a tolerable game, the rules of which defy comprehension. A lot of our kind died just because they were too present online. Right now, the remains of our old network serve as government honeypots, kept alive to attract fledglings and hunt them down. You post a certain word on Twitter or Facebook, you get tagged for investigation. You fit certain patterns, you get tagged for investigation. So there's a certain thrill in becoming an online presence without attracting attention from the authorities. She stretches onto the bed. I know in the world of darkness, yeah, it's kinda hard, but nowadays because of streamers and VTubers like me, who prefers to stream at night, it's the Second Inquisition would, like, struggle a lot. Like, if I was in the world of darkness, I would have been investigated by the Second Inquisition, and they'll find out I'm not exactly a vampire. I mean, I am a vampiric fiend, but I'm not a vampire. I'm a fiend. I can feed off things besides blood, and the vampire weakness don't work on me because I'm also half dragon, and also I'm a fiend. I mean, fiends and demons have technically I mean, demons and vampires share a lot of weaknesses, so it doesn't really matter. I think the only thing that won't work for me and Papa Fiend is the stake to the heart, I guess, and garlic. I hope you are still moderating the chat. Of course not. You're not as good at dividing your attention as she is. You correct your mistake and check the recent messages. Aw, is she talking to someone? Can't wait to see the real thing. The only woman light on screen. This two monitor setup rules, Call of Duty on one screen and That kind of nickname only suggests trouble. You get rid of them permanently. Good job! She's keeping close tabs on you. Anyway, yeah. When Nosferatu admitted to the Camarilla that their network got compromised, the elders went batshit insane. Internet communications became strictly forbidden. There were executions. A lot of people who use social media to secretly contact their mortal families and lovers got offed. That goes without saying. But if you weren't careful, even the most innocent web usage can result in being punished with final death. Thanks to user Dicksteel, the next sub-goal has just gotten successfully funded. Okay, let's go vanillizing humanize based on bloodshed. She raises her hand, 3 fingers up, 2 fingers down, 1 finger up. The countdown ends and she immediately disappears from the screen like a ghost. You can still see her on the bed, but the live feed indicates there's nobody there. When you deeply focus on the digital image, you swear you can make out some unusual glitching where her silhouette should be, but it could very well just be placebo. Ready for this? 3, 2, 1. A flash of the camera. The instant she reappears on the screen, she takes a selfie sticking her tongue out in a provocative manner. The chat room explodes in cheer again. She is their vampire queen. You briefly wonder what about her being glued to the screen. Wait, you briefly wondered about her being glued to the screen. Is this the fantasy everyone is here for? A girl showing off cheap magic tricks while lazily browsing her social media? You realize you were out of your depth here. Meanwhile, Hope decides to continue her lecture. Those were some wild times, especially in New York. While most of them have no clue as to our nature, a lot of the clandestine organizations have classified us as national threats. And since this is where the towers fell, the agencies are very much present around here, looking for easy PR victories. The last SI raid here was just a few years ago, and it was a big one. Stirred up the hornet's nuts. Something fierce. But although it's 2019, I mean, the game was released, I think the game was released in 2020, but yeah. But although it's 2019, NYC is ruled by someone who got embraced before World War fucking II, and the cam as a whole got really spooked and swore off the internet. Of course they're not dumb and understand you can't really coexist with modern kin without the internet. It's a gray zone right now, like piracy, technically frowned upon, but let the one without its sin cast the first stone. The SI is a real threat, no joke, but in many scenes, the darkest place is right under the candle. We take another look at the screen. Bender, we want blood. Can we... How about some bloods? What about some bad stuff? Can you do some bad stuff? She's a Malkavian. She can't do the whole bad thing. Can you show us next time? It's been a long hard day. Please give me a shout out. A familiar nickname pops up. I'm gonna keep... I know I'm gonna upset her, but I'm gonna keep kicking him because it's funny. We give the guy a kick for spamming the chat. The message is deleted so fast, hope I not have noticed. A duty carried out well. You're surprised to feel an inkling of pride. Oh yeah! Fun fact about being a vampire. We can sweat and pee if we just exert ourselves really hard. Some of us can even orgasm. We can even cry, but only tears of blood. It's something I've always dreamt of doing back when I was 14. So romantic, and it drives them crazy. As proof of her words, a scarlet tear starts running down her face. The chat goes wild. This seems to be exactly the kind of thing they've been waiting for. Here again. Can you imagine USA assembling blood sucking? What? Can you imagine USA assembling a blood-sucking squad that would just cruise by the border and suck out... Okay, that's just racist, so... Yeah, I'm gonna ban them because that's political. In my chat, I don't want to discuss politics. And back. Just to be clear, you realize what you're doing here is a blatant breach of the Masquerade, right? I also expect you to leave or inform someone by now, but you haven't, have you? Try to focus on the chat. A familiar nickname pops up on the screen. One more kick. One more familiar message. Is blood a drink or a food? In this case, it's both, because vampires can only feed on blood. But in IRL cases, I would say blood is more of a food. Because some countries do consume blood raw as a soup or as a dish. But a lot of other countries would either process the blood with other things to turn into a sausage or a jelly, or they would boil the blood and add ingredients. So I think in our case, blood is food. You double check. That's the same message he sent out the last time. He's copy-pasting it or something. He's gonna keep screaming every time I kick him. This guy seems to be having the time of his life. Good on you, buddy. You're just going to let this guy shit up the chat? Come on, it's your job to react to spam. I know I'm doing a bad job, but that guy was having the time of his life. I mean, I could have been more sadistic. I mean, I was sadistic earlier, that's why I kicked him. The show continues. In any case, the last goal has been funded. It's time for the great finale. This is what you've all been waiting for, right? Yes, Queen. Her voice has changed. She gets closer to the camera, letting her face fill the entire frame of live feed. Her mesmerizing eyes are focused purely on the viewers. You wanted blood? Come out into the streets, claw out your neighbor's throats, slash their veins, and drink up. Uh-oh. Hope's presence become absolutely horrifying, and it influences the chat in some incomprehensible way. Everyone starts typing like they are possessed. I mean, I saw some memes of vampires claiming they're making blood popsicles. But I think it's hard for blood to freeze like that. Like, it probably takes longer for blood to freeze. I mean, blood does have a similar consistency depending on how much, you know, iron you have. Also, genetic conditions that can give people thin blood. They have a similar consistency to syrup. Well, depending on how much. So yeah, you could freeze blood, but why would you? And also, vampires prefer blood fresh. I mean, that's also how they store blood. They freeze blood. But they can't, you know, melt it instantly because it will ruin the blood. They have to melt it a specific way. Liberate yourself from the shackles of ordinary morality. Make them scream. Feel the warmth of their entrails. What about blood as a soup base? Is it closer to a drink then? You could say the same thing about soup. Soup is categorized as a food, but soup's technically a drink. If you think about it. What the hell is she doing to these people? What have you gotten yourself into? Transcend your bodies. Release the message of hope onto the world. She jerks violently for a second, then falls down on the bed like a marionette. That had just had its strings severed. She exhales loudly a few times and laughs, and when she does, the room goes dark again. Well, that's enough. Technically, because I'm pretty sure if you turn blood into... If you boil blood, it kind of thickens a bit. That's when it becomes more brothy. Blood sausage is just flat out... blood sausage is flat out food, because you process the blood to be solid. Instead of continuing, she does something with her phone. The stream ends, and the chat instantly becomes dead quiet. Let me take over. The atmosphere in the room has suddenly changed. She's already put herself together and stood up. Now she's walking towards you. Behaviour. What the fuck just happened? Show's over. Guess the show's over. Everyone relax and go home. Oh, this is a... So in a sense, it's how you prepare blood. Just like how if you get, like, I don't know, a strawberry, right? If you processed a berry a certain way, it's a drink. If you processed it another way, it's a food. I think blood's the same. I think at the end of the day, you have to think of blood as an ingredient rather than the dish itself. Hostage, I swear on my father's grave, one day I will find you and kick the ever-living shit out of you. So, she was her chat. I knew it! I knew she was her chat because Malkavians are mentally unstable. After After, every line she delivers, she changes her voice. The way she puts her lips together, and even the way she moves. You've caught a glimpse of her acting this way, but only now have you started to figure it out. Wait, this mean? Yeah. So yeah, don't see blood as the dish. See blood as the ingredient. Depending on how you process the blood, it's either a food or a drink. Wait a minute, does that mean? At Miss Pointy Deluxe, they look, I'm immortal, I'm bored, I'm separated from most vampires in this city by a generational chasm, and I'm so goddamn lonely. The internet used to be my only friend. Years ago, I started researching tulpas, collective unconsciousness, all that mambo jumbo, all the intersection of psychology and spirituality, and I decided to experiment. The show was faked. I mean, if you're a chef, you should know this. Well, it's probably because I actually hold a certificate of hospitality. Like, I could work in kitchens in like somewhat moderate positions without going through beginner. I could skip some of the line. That's why I know how to. Also, I like to cook in my spare time. And I have mentioned that Mama Dragon is a Filipino dragon and Papa Fiend is a Filipino demon with quarter Chinese fox. So one of our dishes does involve blood, and I grew up enjoying that blood soup. It's kind of spicy because they put chili in it, but it's not too spicy. It's like a little tingle. Like it's probably like it's more sweet, I guess, than. A few years ago, I was an Instagram fashionista, a successful erotic model, a vital part of pop culture commentant, a viral shitposter, a cryptocurrency expert. All of my internet selves started signal boosting each other, paving the way for new ones. I became a one-woman empire, surrounded by legions of psychopaths. Wait, chat? Are you my chat, or are you guys personalities I made up? The chat was fake. At me. Some may think of it as dissociative identity disorder, but that's bullshit. Everyone has online alter egos they buried. I just resurrected them, give birth to new ones, and let them crossbreed. Well, because it's a smoothie, now it's a drink. Actually, smoothies have always been like a weird middle ground. Like, a lot of smoothies have enough nutrition that they can substitute a meal, but it's technically a drink. Because the difference between a milkshake and a smoothie is a milkshake has milk, meanwhile smoothies use some other form of milk, like yogurt. Like, technically speaking, you can make a smoothie without liquids, but that you still use ice and yogurt, so you get an approximation of a liquid, and also the ice melts. So smoothies have always been in that weird middle ground. Like, you could put so much things in it that it could substitute for a meal. That's why breakfast smoothies exist. But it's still technically a drink. Her constant tapping at the phone, even during the show, somehow, is capable of impersonating an entire chat room. Literally a perfect angel. I don't have a self that could disassociate or be mentally ill. I'm a host, a living database. I live because I find it fun to be an information conduit, to process trends and support the ones I deem worthy. There was no Masquerade violation. She was showing off her skills all along. She put you in a world of pure fiction. The same way she was testing you when she attacked you from behind. And she did admit to us that she is lonely. So maybe we could be her friend. Damn, she's good at this. At Mal Dave champ. Of course, you could just ignore what I'm saying and decide I'm just another deranged Malkavian. But hey, annihilation to the self is the only way to survive the 21st century. Android of the Notre Dame. If there ever was an era that demanded images of beautiful people transcending beyond humanity and inspiring others to do the same, it's this one. Manhole Mermaid. Although for now, because of Masquerade, my audience is quite limited. Speaking of, you want to be a star of my next movie? Need some time to mull it over? Sure. No, sorry to disappoint. But yeah, your test is over. Now the question is, do I want to work with you? She puts her phone away for the first time since you've met her, and gives you a good hard look. Vibe check. Guess I can give it a shot. Yeah, you're not that dumb, you're not that boring, and you're kinda cute. Don't worry, no more modding jobs. Mods get attached, and that's always bad news. Oh, I trust my mods. She grabs your arm and starts leading you out of her room. GPS? Oh, I get it. I've put you through enough shit. Next time I'll let you in on a little job I'm doing. We'll hit the streets and you'll see why Sophie told you to contact me. She leads you through a labyrinth of grey corridors. It's a different route than the one you made your way through in. An unconscious diagram of psychic event. This city is so much more than what its elites consider real. Stick with me and I'll guide you to places Camarilla elders can't reach in 100 years. She leads you out of the buildings into the back alleys. Even if someone else rules the streets, we will live the information highways. This is the power of hope. I'm getting flashbacks to Danganronpa. Good job, mods. I got an achievement. She lets out a theatrical laugh and disappears. You don't even notice when she leaves you alone, but you assume everything went as well as it could. A new ally. The power of hope. As you walk off into the night, everything around you feels a little less tangible than it did a few hours ago. Not long after you wake up tonight, Gregory knocks on the door of your apartment. Hey, I came to pick you up. Miss Laney wants to see you. Do you know what she needs me for? Any idea what she needs me for? I'm not in a position to ask. He smiles politely. The car's waiting, shall we? You wrestle with some thoughts as a few nights ago. Maybe you should just leave, disappear. Let Sophie find someone else to employ. But then you remember the Anak thug that being cut down by Coteries, and how close you were to the same fate, not even a week ago. And that it might still happen if you step out of line. You follow suit. As with your previous visit here, Sophie seems not entirely present when you enter. Her eyes are locked onto one of the paintings in the room. You're pretty sure it was here earlier, but she's behaving as if she's seeing it for the first time in her life. Entirely enticed. Gregory clears his throat. Sophie turns to the both of you, a bit of irritation of her countenance that soon gives way to a pleasant warm smile. You're here. Excellent. Thank you, Gregory. The driver leaves, and she turns her attention to you. I hope you had a good few nights and made some acquaintances, but I have to say, I'm happy to see you, Jaws. Thank you for coming. The change in mood of the room is so sudden and startling. It makes you consider the true power of vampiric charisma. Rationally, you know you're being manipulated, but you don't even care. Her eyes, her motions, her entire body language all feel 100% genuine in expressing legitimate interest in you and your well-being. I have a request for you this night. I need you to find someone for me and make a delivery. She points to a statue at the side of the room. You notice a plain-looking flash drive laying on the edge where the inanimate archer's bow touches the pedestal. The man you'll be looking for calls himself Kaiser. He has eyes and ears all over New York, and it's rare for something to happen here without his knowledge. I'll need you to take this flash drive and bring it to him. In exchange, he will give you an address, which I need to know as soon as possible. You're about to ask what's on the drive, but Sophie proves to be one step ahead of you. Oh, don't worry about the contents. They're encrypted. A precaution for it if the data falls into the wrong hands. But it won't, correct? She gives you a smile. Just a handful of nights ago would make you feel like melting. Oh, and Jaws? Kaiser is a Nosferatu, the twisted, deformed lineage of kindred. He is old, and his age has made him even more paranoid than others of his clan tend to be. He holds many havens and changes them often. From what I've gathered, he or one of his servants should be found in the park on Coney Island tonight. You'll have to identify them somehow. I'm told Kaiser has spent many of his nights these past few years being driven around the city in a black limo. Maybe keep an eye out for it. That smile again, but much shorter. Anything more you can tell me about Kaiser? He's been here a long time, as long as I have. He got a lot of trouble for exchanging information with both the Anarchs and Camarilla in the past, but ultimately got off scot-free. Kaiser's web of information proved to be strong enough to shield him from the consequences of playing both sides. Some say that's the best proof of his abilities. In any case, be careful when talking to him. He's very particular about everyone's etiquette except his own. Good night and good luck. Sorry, I was just checking chat. She flashes one last smile at you and turns back to the painting. Clearly done with the conversation, you pocket the flash drive and head out toward Coney Island. It takes you the better part of an hour to reach the lights and sounds of the Coney Island amusement park from the city. The drive is almost pleasant this time of night. Thank God for Beltway Parkway. For Belt Parkway. There are plenty of people here tonight, but nobody who stands out as a traveling purveyor of secrets. Then again, if they did stand out, it would be kind of pointless, right? Nothing to do but figure out the right approach. Feeding opportunity. Temporarily stumped, you feel frustration building inside. You've come to recognize what this is. Hunger. The beast calling to indulge your vice and lash out. It has to be silenced. You take a short walk away from the lights into one of the less frequented, poorly lit areas and see if any options reveal themselves. One does. An older bum has settled himself in a small niche between two buildings and has just begun loudly but incoherently praying. Hard to say who's he praying to, but he's entirely engrossed. Good for you. He rarely sees you coming, and you bite down, thinking to ignore the smell of unwashed body and soiled blanket underneath. The taste is, hold up, that's familiar. Yeah. This guy's on a pill or two, or stopped drinking. You feel oozy but happy. The world spins a bit, then starts spinning the other way. You get it under control. And then you don't. You feel your thoughts scattering in all directions. Every detail of your surroundings turning into a potential fascination. Faraway lights and sounds composing a beautiful symphony. I feel like I may have done the wrong thing. I know I said I was gonna chase after every feeding opportunity, but I think this just told me that I need to be careful. You bask in the afterglow of feeling successful, feeling like you're on top of the world, superhuman, a master of the night, a god. A few tangents later, a stray thought says, "This isn't good," breaks through the layers of noise inside your head, and you realize you've been standing in place for 15 minutes. And staring at you intently is a man with a gun in his hand. Oh, there he is. Stay put. There's someone who'd like to have a word with you. You're gonna have to wait for him. Who am I meeting? Who's the guy I'm meeting? Raze! Hello! It's been a while. How are you? Your words come out slurred, barely coherent. Somebody who's gonna be pissed that you hunted in his domain, buddy. Gotta tell you, I'm not envious. The hum of a car engine and soft screech of brakes reach your ears. The headlights of a black limo pierce the night. Oh, I think I did. Maybe I did do the right decision. Oh, speaking of, hey Raze, the creator of Nekopara says she's almost ready to release Nekopara After, but we both know it's gonna be released in November. So get ready for this year. And there's the boss. Let's go. He motions towards the light with his gun. You're coming too. Finally in charge of your body, or at least you think so. The car's door open. I'm alrightish. Glad to be back on streams. Huh. I mean, there's the VODs. Like I said, I don't mind if people don't watch the stream. They can still watch it afterwards. Like, I'll still continue the show even if no one's watching. Also, Ragnar mentioned your significant other. How apparently your significant other is Australian. I'm not sure if he told me and I forgot, but... Huh. Funny. He made a joke about it to me. The car doors open, but nobody comes out. The stranger keeps motioning to the car. You hope it's the limo you expect. For a moment, you're sure that you just... For a moment, you're sure what... Wait. For a moment, you're pretty sure that what you see inside the car is just the bum drugged blood kicking in for an encore. The inside of the limo used to be a luxury lounge, the kind with a stripper pole and a bar full of alcohol. But it certainly has none of that. Instead, there are monitors and consoles. Ah, that state. Well, Brisbane's the city. Brisbane's the capital of Queensland, one of the states here in Australia. I mean, it's not doxing myself because I'm not gonna tell you where exactly I live, but from my cosplay pictures, it's clear that I live in Sydney, the biggest city in Australia. So I'm not in that state. And I'm pretty sure Sydney is one of the biggest cities in the world, but yeah, it's not, you know, it's not the biggest. I think the biggest is still New York. I think Sydney is in a comfortable 4th or 6th biggest city or something. Maybe smaller because a lot of Asian cities are bigger. There are dozens of displays, each one showing something different. Surveillance camera footage, stock market quotes, television news, emails, tweets, silent movies, lo-fi footage of a gory torture scene. You wonder if the limo's owner can focus on anything while surrounded by all of this visual noise. And then realize there's nobody here, or is there? A man blinks into existence on a leather-covered sofa, attempting to maintain something that approximates a regal presence. You're 100% sure it's Kaiser. I mean, it depends on the scenario. Like, if it's a vampiric apocalypse, like the vampires took over the world, the major cities would be horrible. But in scenarios like Vampire the Masquerade, where vampires are a secret, vampires do dwell better in cities because they have a lot more prey opportunity. Like, don't get me wrong, there are country vampires. Like, they mentioned the gangrels. Like, they mentioned the gangrels, the vampires who could shapeshift into animals, preferably wolves and bats, prefer to be in the countryside and connected to closer to nature. But vampires vampires in general benefit from cities because that's where the food are. Surrounded by dimly lit computer screens, his features are even more ghastly than you imagine. All sharp angles of twisted bone, mangled flesh, and crooked teeth. He bears them with an awful parody of a smile. The doors close behind you. He's not that ugly, but if you saw that in real life, maybe, I don't know. So, the waste of good blood outside tells me Sophie Langley sent you, huh? You got something for me? You reluctantly pull the flash drive from your pocket and slowly pass it to Kaiser. He plugs it into a USB port on the arm of his chair and displays the data on one of the screens that happen to be turned away from you. It takes him about a minute to access the data. Let me guess, this is from Langley? She said you'd have something like this. You heard me, Flanky? You have to bite your tongue to keep from arguing with the word he chose, but you nod. Who do you people think I am? I saw this footage a week ago. He removes the flash drive and throws it back at you in disgust. Tell Sophie the deal's off. She wants her address, she can give me something else. I'm tempted to use presents, but Sophie said I need to be more cordial, so that's how you can make. I'm sorry this proved disappointing to you, Mr. Kaiser. Can I do something to make it up to you? He seems genuinely impressed. Now that's what I like to hear. Yeah, in fact, I was just about to mention it. I have something in mind. We'll talk again soon. You do that for me, the address is yours. Now, would you be so kind to get the fuck out of my car? You're pretty sure you're done here. You get out, close the door behind you, and the car immediately starts backing up. The opaque windows slide past you, and soon the limo is on its way. Kaiser's Lucky is nowhere to be seen, so you make your way to your car and drive back, wondering what tomorrow brings. Okay, I'll meet up with... Actually, no, I'll meet with him first. You make your way down to Clinton Street. The incessant humming of traffic gives way to the ominous silence of the waterfront. You stop to take in the familiar bouquet of the Hudson. Banquet? Why did I say bouquet? Banquet of the Hudson, made all the more potent by your recently sharpened senses. Across the basin, the Red Hook grain terminal rears its rusty frame. Once a bustling industrial area, now a sleeping giant splayed out to the riverbed. Forgotten, abandoned. Conveniently so, especially for one of the hidden. Keeping to the shadows, you sneak closer to the decrepit complex, making your way past hole-ridden silos and wobbly chain-link fences. By the time you reach the entrance to the main building, you can almost feel the rust particles making themselves cozy at the back of your throat. Not getting your hopes up, you give the door a slight nudge. To your surprise, it gives almost instantly. Looks like someone's been here recently. Has been using it recently. Once again, you find yourself in a large empty hall. Looking around, you can almost picture it back in its heyday, stacked to the rafters with heavy machinery. You notice a set of stairs leading up to the mezzanine, most likely to an office space, and then you see it, a faint light coming from one of the upper rooms. Looks like you're in luck. Quietly, you bated your breath. You climb the steps and approach the dimly lit room. Door creaks open, revealing what looks like an old-timely detective's office, complete with crooked window blinds, an overflowing ashtray, and paper scattered across a wooden desk. Suddenly it hits you, that nagging feeling. This is all too convenient, too inviting. Before you can react, the trap has already sprang. A plume of cigar smoke whiffs over your shoulder. The barrel of a gun rubs across your spine. The raspy voice whispers in your ear. Let me guess. Took a wrong turn at the silo? Should I? I'll use presents. Driven by a strange hunch, you open your mouth. You hear yourself talking, but the words are not yours. They seem to be coming from the deepest recesses of your memory. A movie you saw as a child. You don't know why, but it seems oddly appropriate. I know what you're thinking. This punk ain't got nothing on me. I'm sitting pretty on a loaded cold detective special. 5 in the cylinder, 1 in the chamber, and I only need 1. As corny as it sounds, the stranger seems oddly receptive to your tough guy monologue, so you decide to bump it up a notch. Focusing your will, you boost your aura filling the room with your presence. Your voice becomes raspy, oozing with charisma, a regular Sam Spade. You yourself can't help but feel a sense of awe. Hopefully the stranger feels it too. But then there's a nagging feeling. What if there's more to this guy than he lets on? What if he's got me right where he wants me? Maybe I should hear what he has to say. Is that right? Yeah. So how about we drop the tough guy act and talk like adults? You can always shoot me once we're done. A few 10 seconds, the room grows quiet. So quiet, in fact, you can swear you can actually hear the smoke swirling in the air. Finally, the stranger speaks again. You got a point there, kid. In a strange interplay of light and shadow, the stranger reappears behind his desk. Seeing him in his full, for lack of a better term, glory, you can't help but smirk. This is the dreaded Nosferatu? The way Sophie described them, you were expecting some grotesque monstrosity. But this guy, the clothes, the swagger, the hard-boiled detective routine, it all comes across as a bad joke. Still, when it comes to appearance, his lineage is undeniable. From 30 feet away, he could have probably passed for a bum with a nasty skin condition. From 5 feet away, he looks like something made to be seen from 30 feet away. He leans back in his chair, casually pointing his gun at you. So, what brings you to my humble office? Are you D'Angelo? Are you the one they call D'Angelo? That's my name, kid. Don't wear it out. My friends call me Jin, so you best stick to D'Angelo for the time being. Now, I suggest you tell me what this is about. Otherwise, I kindly ask you to get the fuck out of my office. I can see why Coteries keeps you. Charming. I can see why Coteries keeps you around. His expression sours. Not a name you wanna casually throw around, kid. But hey, I get it. You're not some random schmuck who wandered in here off the street. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Who I work for is less important. What I'm working on, however... I know, I'm here to help. The Red Hook murders. I know. I want to help you catch the killer. His moldy lips twist into a smile. Do you know? D'Angelo lowers his shades. For a few seconds, he sits motionless, with his eyes fixed on yours. Suddenly, he raises his gun, almost making you flinch. Almost. Then he twirls it into his shoulder holster in a flashy display that definitely looks like it was practiced, a lot, in front of a mirror. You can see the Nosferatu's lips move, but the quiet mumbling clearly isn't meant for your ears. Listening in, you're able to catch snippets of his monologue. Sure, they seem to care. What was the end game? What was their angle? Everyone's got one, even if they pretend like they don't. Especially then. What the hell? Maybe this town finally got to me. Oh, he's doing the whole detective schlick. He pauses, sticks his fresh cigar between his crooked teeth. Maybe a good lap of faith is just what the doctor ordered. As he reaches into his pocket, you flash a lit lighter before his eyes. Or maybe you could use a healthy dose of unhealthy. For a split second, he gives you a puzzled look. Then he leans over to your lighter, puffing on the cigar as it catches fire. A weary smile comes back to his lips. I like you, kid. You might look like a used car salesman, but there's something about you. There's just something about you. Tell you what, I was just about to head back to the crime scene. Take a look around, refresh my notes. You can tag along if you want. I could use an assistant, someone to take notes, and make wild assumptions for me to shoot down. Who knows, if you're any good, I might consider making this a long-time arrangement. Sounds good? Sure it does, kid. I'm the one who said it. Just one more thing. You still got me at a disadvantage here. Seems like you've done some digging on me, but with you, I've barely scratched the surface. You catch my drift? So answer me this. Who was it that sent you into my neck of the woods? Or in layman's terms, who do you work for? Sophie Langley. For the first time since he got here, Nosferatu adopts a look of genuine surprise. His eyes wander for a moment, finally giving way to a crooked smile. You're the one, huh? The fledgling the Toreador Dame spared. Yeah, that would make sense. Don't think she'd appreciate you throwing her name around. Thanks for being upfront, kid. One blink is enough for you to miss D'Angelo vanishing from his chair. Just when you're about to look around, he reappears next to you. Up close, his smile is even more unnerving. Alright, moonlight's burning. Let's get cracking. With a certain fascination, you watch D'Angelo stumble his way across West Brooklyn. Oddly animated, incessantly scratching his face and neck, stopping every once in a while for a bout of mumbling narration. He is most certainly a sight to behold. He's kinda cute! His behavior is kinda cute. Still, he seems to be getting around okay, and you take particular note of the fact that he seems to be choosing the darker, less frequent streets. There is definitely a method to his madness. Eventually, your Lupus guide takes a sudden turn off of Van Burt Street into a particularly dangly alleyway. The torn pieces of yellow police tape are a dead giveaway. This has to be the place. Well, here we are. Time for you to earn your stripes. This is where they found him. Drained dry, not a drop of blood in him. And before you ask, no, I didn't get to see the body, so I don't know if there were any bite marks. So what can you tell me? You take a moment to examine the crime scene. Judging by the chalk outline on the pavement, the man was killed recently. Curiously, there doesn't appear to be any trace of blood or bisectra. How do you say that? Bisectra? I keep forgetting how to say that. And you know this city's cleanup crew isn't that fast or that thorough. Looking up, you notice a spray painted sign on the wall. It reads, "The blood speaks," in big crooked letters. You look at Angela. The Nosferatu gives you an unexpected look. How come there's no blood? Did you say the victim was drained dry? Because I don't see a trace of blood anywhere. Good eye, kid. It's the details that count. And given that the murder was committed right here, the victim didn't make a sound. We can therefore conclude that. The killer was kindred. Bingo. Only a kindred could drain a human this quickly, this quietly. But not just any kindred. Take a look at that graffiti. What do you think it means? It seems desperate. My thoughts exactly. It's as if someone wanted to get a message across, but was too scared to stick around and write the whole damn book, so we got the abridged version. Tell me, if you were to guess which clan would you say our killer belongs to? Well, aren't the Tremere known as blood sorcerers? This was definitely some fucked up ritual of theirs. Oh, okay. The warlocks do tend to get creepy at times, but it's not exactly the Manson family. It's just not their style. That was my second guess. I might be jumping to conclusions, but my money's on the Thin Bloods. Okay. I still haven't read Lineage, so let me do that one because it's quicker. A vampire's bloodline, the kindred sires, the sire's sire, etc. An anecdotic term. Thin Bloods. Vampires with blood so diluted, they retain many human traits. The Thin Blood are inevitably clanless, survivors of the last decades of pilgrims, prejudice, and ostracization. Their numbers now swell. Their messy, sweet alchemy, the blood alchemy, thin blood alchemy, and ability to pass as human makes them uniquely suited to thrive outside kindred society, and makes their own fate in the postmodern knights. The thin-blooded can be of any mortal origin, and not affected by their parent clan's curse. Well, they can be. There's a flaw. You could take a flaw for a clan curse. Nor by their preference in the same degree as their sire. In 2009, they're a type of vampire, because the way Vampire the Masquerade works is they work by generation, right? The earlier generations are the strongest. The first generation vampire, Cain, is the strongest. But his generation, this generation after him, the one he sires, the second generation are weaker than him. Then there's the third generation, which he cursed. Anyone who comes after the third generation becomes significantly weaker. Thin Bloods are the 14th, 15th, and 16th generation. The blood is so thin that they're practically humans with some vampiric abilities. Some Thin Bloods are even immune to sunlight. In Bloodlines, we play an 8th generation, so we're not a Thin Blood. Our blood's still thick enough to use... Well, people says it's 8th generation, but it's kind of... People are divided if you're playing as an 8th or 9th generation. The game never reveals it. So, yeah. And from what I've seen in this game, I'm not playing a Thin Blood. I'm playing a regular vampire of a older generation. This game is based off a tabletop, so check it out if you can. Or check out my Vampire the Masquerade Bloodline streams, because they also explain some of the lore there. But then again, when that game was released, it was during the revised edition. This is 5th edition, so some things may have changed. In 2009, the Inner Circle of the Camarilla issued an edict that all Thin Blood must be branded or tattooed with the mark of the crescent moon, inked by Tremere tattoo artists, or scorched with the beam of sunlight. The brand is irreversible. Many kindreds still view the Thin Bloods as a threat to the Masquerade, weaklings, ranoffs, abortions, and will destroy them if given a chance. Those who don't despise Thin Bloods tend to call them the Young Ones, Chameleons, or Duskborns. Because, Thin Bloods, their blood is so thin that normally, like I said earlier in the stream, vampires tend to start with 3 disciplines. They're clan disciplines. But because the 5th edition introduced predator types, you could technically have a 4th starting one, but that's besides the point. Thin Bloods technically don't start with any disciplines at all. They could learn, but they have an exclusive discipline called Thin Blood Alchemy, but it needs a teacher. I mean, you could take a merit where you start off with a point of Thin Blood Alchemy, but yeah, that's a merit. But there's also a merit where you could take one discipline for Thin Blood. But to level up that discipline, you need to spend twice as much points compared to a non-Thin Blood vampire. So yeah, it's just that the blood got so diluted. Like, it also works in real genetics. Like, for example, if you have a kid, your kid shares 50% of your DNA. But in, like, let's say 12 generations, your descendant will probably have no genetic ties to you because your blood is so thin that it doesn't even matter anymore. Okay, let's continue. He pauses, spits out the mangled remains of a cigar. Shit. Looks like we're gonna have to pay a visit. Wait, looks like we gotta pay Layson a visit. Layson? The Thin Blood Trojan? It's... If a vampire feeds off a vampire... I mean, in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, in the blood bank, to harvest blood, they did have a Thin Blood. So there's that. But if a vampire drinks blood from another vampire and they kill that vampire, there's a process known as diablerie. What happens is that essentially the vampire absorbs the other vampire, that you get their abilities, and if they're from an earlier generation, you also get their generation. For example, let's say I'm a 7th generation vampire and I delaboralize a 5th generation vampire. I absorb them, so now I'm 5th generation. I also get their disciplines, and I also get some of their memories. If I fail to delaborize them, their body dies, but their mind takes over my body, so now I'm gone. They're in control of my body. There's a lot of stuff here that's kinda hard to explain. No, Layson, the bicycle reformer. Course the Thin Blood fucking primogen. Not sure if he knows who the killer is, but he could probably make an educated guess. In any case, we'd be doing him a favor. If it turns out one of his is violating the Masquerade, it would put him in hell of an awkward position and put shitting upside down awkward. Yeah, there's really no point. I mean, if they're after a discipline, because it's possible to learn another vampire's discipline by drinking their blood. You don't have to kill them. By drinking their blood, you could learn their discipline. But some disciplines require teachers. For example, earlier, they were talking about blood sorcery. Blood sorcery is using your blood to cast spells. That one requires a teacher. It's a discipline, so if you drink a blood of a Timir or a vampire that has blood sorcery, you don't get it instinctively. You need a teacher to use it. And I think the same thing happens with Oblivion, the shadow mending discipline. You need a teacher for that one too. And you also probably need a teacher for Protein, the discipline that lets you transform into a wolf or any animals that you choose. But the disciplines I've been using, Presence and Sleep Tree, if a vampire were to drink from me, they could get that discipline. So yeah. You don't... Like I said, you don't have to kill a vampire to drink their blood. You could drink their blood and get their discipline. That's how they teach other vampires. Okay. It's the kind of weakness that other Primogen would love to exploit. His position in the council is as bad as it is. He pauses for a moment and mumbles to himself, but it's too quiet for you to make out. Finally, he lights up a fresh cigar. He takes a puff and lets the smoke escape from the crooked smile. His crooked smile. Alright, kid, let's get this over with. Compared to the industrial ugliness of Red Hook, Sterling Place is quite a change of scenery. And that's... I'm ending the stream here, because, yeah, I feel like this is gonna go on longer, because we're literally investigating a murder. I know there's probably, like, another part to this, because everyone has a part 2. It's because he's a Nosferatu. There are different clans of vampires. His clan is the Nosferatu, and each clan has a curse. The Nosferatu's curse is that they look ugly. Like I said, if you have the opportunity, read up on Vampire the Masquerade. It's currently on 5th edition, but if you can, read the older editions too so you can see the differences. So yeah. I hope you guys had fun. Tomorrow I'll be back with Cyberpunk. So, I hope you guys had fun. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope I see you guys tomorrow.